The Electoral College is a unique and defining institution of American government and politics. It has been the subject of both controversy and debate throughout the decades. To fully understand the Electoral College, I think it is imperative that we look at the history of the college. To do that, we need to start with its beginning at the 1787 Constitutional Convention. A problem arose when deciding how the President and Vice President of the United States would be chosen. Would they be chosen according to the total number of votes, which is the popular vote cast by each state, or would Congress decide who would be President and Vice President? Well, two framers of the Constitution, James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, came forth with a solution. This solution was the Electoral College. The Electoral College would operate based off electors. Electors were men who would be selected by the state legislatures, and the total number of electors each state would have would be equal to the total number of representatives each state had in Congress. The candidate to win the majority of the electoral votes would then be president. Now, like most things in the Constitution, the Electoral College did receive some criticism. Would it be able to accurately cast votes based off the popular vote? Would the Electoral College become too powerful and control the presidential elections? Well, the Founding Fathers did give a staunch defense of the Electoral College. In fact, in the Federalist number 68, Alexander Hamilton states, "It was desirable that the sense of the people should operate in the choice of the person to whom so important a trust was to be confided. This end will be answered by committing the right of making it not to any pre-established body, but to men chosen by the people for the special purpose and at the particular conjuncture." So Hamilton was in essence stating that the people still held control over who the president was to be. Now that I've given you a brief overview of how the college came into being, I want to go into the workings of the Electoral College. As I stated earlier, the college selects the president and vice president based off of the popular vote it receives from each state. Some states work differently, though. In some states, the electors will represent each congressional district and cast their electoral vote based off of the result of the popular vote within their congressional district. So in Nebraska, for example, the representative of District number 13 may cast his vote for one candidate, while the representative of District number 10 may cast his vote for a different candidate, depending on who won the popular vote in those districts. One of the main problems of the Electoral College is the case of the faithless elector. A faithless elector is an elector who ignores the popular vote completely and casts his electoral vote for the man he wants to be president, for the candidate, that he wants to be president. There have been many debates over how to deal with the faithless elector, and in the U.S. House of Representatives archives, an article states, quote, "In 1969, the House approved a constitutional amendment to abolish the Electoral College, but that bill failed to pass the Senate." Now, this amendment was based solely off of the problem of faithless electors. There have been numerous attempts like this to do away with the Electoral College, but all these attempts have failed. Lastly, I want to take a look at a very interesting case in which the Electoral College actually proved ineffective in selecting the President of the United States. This is the 1876 presidential election. Republican Rutherford B. Hayes and Democrat candidate Samuel J. Tilden were locked in an extremely close race. By the end of the counting, it was discovered that Tilden held one more electoral vote than Hayes, but he still lacked the necessary 185 votes to become president. Votes were under dispute from Oregon, Louisiana, South Carolina, and Florida. But the three biggest states that were under dispute were the southern states. If you'll remember back to American history, 1876 is towards the tail end of the Reconstruction era in the South. The problem arose when, quote, "both Tilden and Hayes electors submitted votes from these three states, each claiming victory in violent and confused elections. The states couldn't make up their minds." However, the problem was solved by an electoral committee. This was a bipartisan committee of representatives, senators, and Supreme Court justices. And a deal was struck. The South wanted the troops in South Carolina, Florida, and Louisiana removed, and in exchange, they would give Hayes the electoral votes. This deal was reached and made, and Hayes won the election. However, due to the seemingly underhanded nature of this deal, it is debated still today whether or not Hayes was the legitimate president. So in conclusion, I've given you a look at the history, the workings, and an interesting case in which the Electoral College proved effective. I hope this has stoked your interest and piqued your curiosity. The Electoral College is a very interesting part of American politics, and it is worthy of study. Thank you.